talking with Chris Cole, University of Detroit Mercy's head men's lacrosse coach, and coming off what has to be one of the best victories you've had as just a coach in a while, sort of a wild one against Lindenwood, 17-16. And when that final buzzer goes, with the way the season's gone, it was even better than a Robert Morris victory, I would think.
Um, yeah, I mean we're already focused on what's next, but it was a good game where we matched. Both teams were fighting really hard for a win. You got to give credit to them as a newer Division One team, and with traveling to Detroit, they did a really nice job being really good at what they're good at. Um, you know, both goalies had a tough day, and they switched goalies a little earlier than us, and then switched back, and we feel good about it was a real tough call, and to make a goalie switch, and you get a certain amount of down tick and then up tick and then down tick typically in a goalie switch unless it's predetermined. And luckily, I think we played that one probably right. And Tyler got some saves at the end that put us ahead, and we feel good about it.
I guess what I'm saying from the standpoint that you've had a tough. Let me start this one. I have to cut this. Yeah. Obviously, a great win. Are you surprised Lindenwood is? They've had some really good club teams over the last number of years, and they really do a good job with lacrosse at the school. Yeah. And obviously, first-year program, playing well, playing very well.
Yeah, no, they've been a Division II team for a long time, competing for national championships, right? And they have great facilities and a great football team, and they're making a jump to Division I, and they're doing it in all sports, and they're doing it right. So, and Jimmy's a great coach. So, and they got a great staff. So, that's it's great for the sport. I'm all about Midwestern lacrosse expanding and in the St. Louis, and we're going to be playing them in conference, out of conference, no matter what. They're going to be a good opponent, and we're going to have a good rivalry with them moving forward.
Freshman Drew Kishnick is starting to come on a little bit. He had a great game, and to talk a little bit about him.
Yeah, I mean, we know Drew's ability, and I don't think he's at his potential by any means. He's a great kid, great human being, and he's just starting to tap the potential that we know a kid from Milwaukee has, right? We love our Midwestern kids, and we like recruiting kids exactly like that are maybe a little overlooked and just have so much potential. So he's going to keep growing into his position, and I'm looking forward to his career over the next couple of years.
Chris, with the Detroit Lions right now, there's a big thing about sort of finding a Dan Campbell kind of guy. Detroit has always been sort of in your mold in that it's a sort of a tough defensive kind of guy. Are you looking for sometimes? We talked about this before when you talk about IQ or athleticism, but do you look for a certain kind of kid?
Yeah, oh yeah, everybody does, right? We've developed a lot of kids over the years, and it takes a certain kind of kid that wants to be here and be a part of what we do, and yeah, I mean, we love our kids. We love our families. I mean, we recruit the family, right? The parents are important. The kid's important. And, I love every one of them, right? Whether it's a kid like Drew that's producing a lot on the field, or a kid that's helping us out today at practice on Monday being a Jacksonville scout. So we've got really great kids here and great families.
Obviously, you headed to Florida. You get a chance to see John Galloway down in Jacksonville, and that's a tough matchup. He's done a great job with the program down there.
Yeah, John's awesome, right? He's taken a program that was kind of a mid-major and turned it into a major program. When they cut football there, John is such a great coach and advocate for lacrosse that he took and turned it in, that loss of football into a major gain for lacrosse at Jacksonville. He's done a great job with the transfer portal. He understands that kind of situation. I think probably his pro career, which is just an unbelievable pro career, has helped him with that kind of aspect with guys getting traded and things like that. So he's learned how to manage that really well. And, it's going to be 90 degrees down there. We're not used to heat. We haven't done well in heat. And, they're a very kind of older team, right? Lots of grad transfers and things like that. We're a very young team. So it's going to be youth versus age. Some heat, and a great team down there. So that's our Wednesday, and then we're gonna transition over and play Air Force on Saturday. So it's a it's a week of travel, a lot of time in the air, and first in the heat, and then at elevation. So it'll be a fun week.
At Queens, you broke out the shorts. I saw that just from the telecast. So obviously, you're going to be breaking out the shorts down in Florida.
Always. I'm I'm a casual guy. So
What team presents more trouble? Those two teams.
that, they're both a lot of trouble. They're different, but we're expecting a lot of trouble from both. We're going to give it our all in both games and do a lot of resting in between and give it our best shot. They're both really good opponents, and they're going to bring out the best in us, and we're going to have to play at our best to compete. So I'm looking forward to the guys being ready for that.
We had a chance to interview John Galloway earlier in the season for the show, and I pointed out to him he's a 4-time All-American at Syracuse, his pro career, and he's done a great job at Jacksonville. I said, "Do you realize you're only 34?"
Yeah,
and
he's a pretty amazing guy, man. It's always fun to go down and compete against a guy like that, right? It's fun every time, and he obviously a guy like that brings out the best in you, so that's what we're gonna try to do.
He's the kind of guy you'd want to have a beer with.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
All right, 2-3 over the last 3 games, sort of an uptick. That's you're like you said, a young team starting to find their legs. Does the leadership at this point now start to kick in a little bit better from what it has?
Yeah, I mean, it's hopefully the learning has occurred, right? It's not occurred at the speed that we like usually, but I've over the year the staff and we've had teams like this that have you always want to try to be playing your best at the right time, and for us, we were never going to get into the into the NCAA tournament with just wins early, right? We were going to have to get into our conference tournament and be playing our best lacrosse at our conference tournament and beyond. So you got to get in that top 6, right? So we've positioned ourselves luckily with some losing and learning, and hopefully some winning and learning, and positioned ourselves where we are going to get in that tournament and be playing our best lacrosse then. So that's what we've always done with the MAC and now with the ASUN. So there's a little bit of an equation to it. We got, but I sure as heck like to be playing better earlier and for a longer period.
Is success getting into the ASUN tournament?
No, we want to win NCAA tournament games, man. Like this is never it's never been we have so many obstacles and things like that, but obstacles are for losers, and we always want to do the best we can and overcome those things. That's been part of what I've tried to do for the whole time I've been here, and I don't measure all my success on that, but boy, I'd like to achieve that at some point where we're winning NCAA tournament games.
Okay. Well, listen, have a great trip, safe trip going down to Jacksonville, and Air Force will be a lot of fun too. Those mountains you're going to get a chance to see the ocean and the mountains. That's kind of cool in less than a week.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of, it's going to be a very interesting trip.
All right, Chris, thanks for your time.
Thanks, man.
Welcome back to University of Detroit Mercy's Lacrosse Conversations with John Losey. John, an unbelievable game this past Saturday against Lindenwood here in Detroit. Unfortunately, didn't get a chance to broadcast with you, but I listened to the broadcast. God, man, you did a great job, and what a terrific game for UD.
Yeah, no, you were missed, my friend. You were definitely missed. I need you there. You're my kind of keep me in the lane and whatnot. No, it was a great game. It was, the weather was beautiful. I think that was very key. Just for me, because like I said, the broadcast is the nicest weather I've had in like 5 years of being the voice of the Titans. But great resiliency by the Titans. I mean, Lindenwood played well. And, you look at the stats, they outshot them. They had more shots on goal. I mean, so many different things that, and face-offs was just, I didn't see the final numbers, but it was not good. And they were down the whole game. I went back and watched it again. And, the Titans never led until they took the lead at 17-16. That was it.
I think when you're 2-3 in the last couple games, when you're going on the road to both Jacksonville and Air Force, I think it's a good win at the right time. Not to suggest that they can't compete at Jacksonville or they can't compete in Colorado, but that's a pretty steep hill to climb.
Well, and we talk about the travel situation, for the Titans, and it's just been like the Grateful Dead, a long, strange trip it's been, and everywhere they go, it's difficult. Fortunately, this isn't going to be bus rides. They'd have to leave today, but it's just wear and tear on a team, and it's difficult with a young team like that. Yes, you do have senior leadership, but I think Chris mentioned last week coming out of the Queens game, the seniors weren't doing what they, the leadership wasn't there during that Queens game that they needed. And I think that he, really reiterated that, at a couple timeouts, when they were falling behind. I mean, they were down by 3 goals with 10 minutes left.
Well, the travel component is interesting. They're flying home on Thursday morning, back to Detroit from Jacksonville, sleeping and getting back in the plane Friday morning to try to climatize to go all the way to Denver and then bus up to Colorado Springs where they're going to play Air Force. I can't believe it can't be more than $800 or $900, $1,000 for hotel rooms. And when you're going from 90-degree swamp to what essentially is going to be, 7,000 or 8,000 feet, air, oxygen is going to matter. And being there an extra day, I can tell you from ski racing, we'd always come in 2 days beforehand and get ourselves climatized as well as you can without a hyperbaric chamber. But that's got to be tough.
No, it 100%. I mean, I've been out there, and even not even being in an athletic event, and you're walking around those fields. I've been out there at summer tournaments, and you're marching and you're running around, and it's not easy. So yeah, they got their work cut out for them. I mean, it's not ideal, but to your point, when we started this portion was about getting this win, which was really imperative, and it really was both teams, because you look at Lindenwood and their schedule. They're going to, I think they're going to Utah. They got Utah, and they've got someone else as well. It might be Jacksonville. No, yeah, I think it is. So yeah, I mean, both teams. It was a must win, and we talked about it in the broadcast. Like, whoever's going to win this is not going to be sitting pretty.
In watching the game later that day, I was kind of surprised at some of the late calls.
Yeah.
And I say that based on, let's go back to Ohio State's call with the gloves that Saturday night.
Glove
There
gate.
was a couple calls in the Hopkins game that were highly questionable, and it was not a good day for referees, and it certainly was not a good day for officials at University of Detroit Mercy, because they made a couple of. It certainly helped UD, but there was really a couple of bad calls, at least from looking at it. Is that fair estimation?
Yeah. And then the broadcast, you gotta, as you know, we gotta walk the line. But yeah, I think collectively what you're saying about the officiating is, it's just questions, and you hate to do it, because we value the officials, we need the officials, especially when you look at the youth level and also at the high school level. And I'm always preaching, to parents out there, leave them alone, right? I mean, just let they got to work their way through it. But when you get to this level, that's a big step up, and so there's more reason to question those, because now you're looking at the Division I level. So yeah, what are you going to do? I don't know.
And I guess what I'm saying is that there's bad calls, there's good calls, but there's those unusual calls.
Right.
And this weekend we saw more of those unusual calls than I can remember in any weekend.
Yeah.
The gloves, for example, and it turned out they showed a picture a couple of days later that were wearing different colored gloves at Hopkins. There was half the offense was wearing white and the other ones were wearing blue. And it was, does it become part of the uniform? I can't imagine. It's in high school. It's the eye dress under the eye. Some of the guys are wearing it at night, which doesn't make any sense because it's based on sun glare. Exactly. But they're wearing it for decoration, and the state doesn't want it, but that the referees don't enforce it. So what do you do? And that becomes that. But and it's not that we're picking on officials. It was just a very unusual calls all weekend. Maybe an anomaly.
No, I think that's accurate. And I think when you see, because you look at the Big Ten, I mean, every Big Ten game went into overtime. And and so as the level rises in terms of the competitiveness, then the spotlight becomes, bigger and bigger on individual calls, especially late in the game. And I think that's what you see. And so you just hope that the officials catch up with the, really the quality and the pressure of play that we're starting to see. But yeah, no, I mean, I was dialed in all day, Friday night and then Saturday night. And then pretty much I watched, I think 9 games on Saturday. And it was, I mean, it was great, but yeah, I mean, some questionable calls. But going back to the Lindenwood game, I mean, I think that the critical moment in that game was in the second half, where Lindenwood, with the lead, they went zone and they changed netminders, winning. And the Titans scored 2 straight on outside shots. And after that, that was, I think, in my mind, that was just critical. And I didn't understand it.
I had a call. This is unrelated to anything we're talking about, but I had a call in a game about a week ago. We're playing, kid runs out of bounds onto the track and back onto the field with the ball. And it was my kid. And I said to the official, I said, I think he ran out of bounds. He said, it's not a big deal. We'll just keep the game moving. And again, we're talking sort of middle to lower middle part of the premise. And I'm thinking the kid runs out of bounds with the ball. At some point, you have to make a call. And I mentioned to the other coach, I said, I mentioned to the coach that, you kind of got messed a little bit there. He says, don't feel bad. He says, on the other end, he says, my guy ran out of bounds twice. So there's it's an ebb and flow, as I guess the point.
Yeah, you give one, you get one. You give one, you get one, and that's the hope. It works out at the end, that it all evens out. Unfortunately, in some of these bigger games, the bigger one comes at the end of the game, and it leads to a victory for one team over the other.
Well, wrapping it up, there's no doubt that Colin and the boys have to come home with a victory out of one of the two this weekend, or I think the playoffs are probably a little out of their reach. Is that a fair?
Yeah. I mean, that win got them, it's top 6. And so, I think that they can pick up one win. You look beyond this game too, and then you've got Bellarmine coming in, and Bellarmine beat Air Force on Saturday. So, they're no slouch. I saw them play Lindenwood before they played the Titans, and they really they looked very, very good and very impressive, and they're a good team. So, the Titans definitely have their work cut out for them. But I think, I think they just keep with the same mantra, which is just grind, right? Every play,
Yep.
every possession, every ground ball. And it's just that, that spirit of Detroit to a certain degree, that you just gotta keep working and hope things work out. I mean, they had 22 shots on goal, or 22 shots period in that game. And the offense found the back of the net, but still the offense is still not kind of where it needs to be.
I've been on a lot of those lose by one, and I've won a few, and believe me to tell you that the ones you win, especially if you're having a tough season, it's the Penn State victory over Hopkins this weekend. You see these guys celebrate like it's, the Super Bowl.
Right.
Once you put it in context and you recognize that that's been their nemesis, that's been the thorn in the side,
Right.
And it was nice to see Tambroni and the boys get a chance to separate. So
yeah, and I hated to see the turnover that led to the goal, to end it. Pohl tried to make a play on the clear, threw it back in the middle of the field, and it led to the goal. And so you hate to see that part of it, and then you hate to see the cameras focused. I mean, for some reason, we're fascinated with kids making mistakes, because you saw it in the college basketball. Every time somebody makes a mistake, you zoom in on that poor kid. It's like, why? What are we celebrating? A mistake? It's just
Don, again, all those years in the newspaper business, we never walked up. We never had dead body pictures. We never asked the widow what her husband or her child had just died.
How you feeling?
Or somebody put a microphone in somebody's face and say, "Oh, by the way, your house is burned to the ground. What are you thinking?"
Right.
I mean, you got to be a moron not to know what the emotion to that is. And when they had the NCAA basketball games, I noticed a lot of the pictures on, all the guys crying that didn't win, and no, I get that. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, let's hope for the best for you and D. We'll catch up with each other next week. Our last game will be the 22nd.
Fire it up.
And it'll be hopefully a good contest. So let's.
Yeah, you better be there. You better be there. I can't do 2 without you, my friend. I can't do 2. I did 1. That's it.
I will definitely be there, and let's hope good luck either at Jacksonville or Air Force. So
yep.
Thanks for your time.
All right.